Hello, today we will be demonstrating how to submit a claim through the Medi-Cal RX Secured Provider Portal. I will demonstrate how, once you submit a claim, it is instantaneously transmitted to our pharmacy benefit system, First RX. The beneficiary, service provider, and prescriber NPI being used were set up for the conditions of this demo. Let's begin. In the upper right corner of the screen, click the Secured Portal Access dropdown, select Provider Portal, select Login in the upper right corner of the screen, and log in the Secured Provider Portal using the applicable credentials. Once you are logged in, this page will appear. On the left side of the screen, select Web Claim Submission. You are now ready to use the Web Claim Submission tool for claim submission, reversal, or claim search. Select the provider ID that will be used to submit the claim. It is important to note that the provider IDs available in the service provider list were assigned to you by your delegated administrator. Provider IDs cannot be entered manually. Click the Select button. The selection window will appear. Select the Templates dropdown. The available claim template options are WCS_billing_template or WCS_reversal_template. Select WCS_billing_template and click Continue. The claim data entry window will appear. The claim data shows the template name and host or port. Scroll down to Request Header section. All fields with a yellow dot are required fields. The information to include for bin number and processor control number can be found in the Provider Manual Appendix A. Enter the bin number, the version release number is pre-populated. The transaction code is B1-billing. Enter the process control number, transaction count is how many claims will be entered per member. The service provider ID qualifier field is pre-populated based on the service provider selected when logging into the web claim submission tool. The service provider ID field is also pre-populated based on the service provider selected when logging in. Enter the date of service in Date field. Scroll down to Request Transmission Segment. All fields with a yellow dot are required fields. The claims type CD field is pre-populated and cannot be manually updated. Enter the patient's date of birth in the date of birth field. The sex code identifies the beneficiary's gender. Enter the patient's last name, and select the pregnancy indicator. Select the applicable patient residence from the drop-down list. Enter the cardholder ID number, enter the cardholder's first name, the group number field is pre-populated, the relationship code is defaulted to 1-subscriber and cannot be manually updated. Now scroll down to the Request Claim segment. The prescription reference number qualifier field is pre-populated and cannot manually be updated. Next, enter the assigned prescription number in the prescription reference number field. Select the product/service ID qualifier from the drop-down. Enter the ID of the product dispensed in the product/service ID field. For this demo, we will use Doug Jackson. If the NDC is unknown, you may perform a search by clicking the search button next to the product/service ID field. Enter either the item ID or drug name and click search. Select the item ID and it will populate in the product/service ID field. Enter the quantity dispensed enter the new/refill code. The options are 0-original/new fill or 1-99-refill. Enter the number of days the prescription will last in the days supply field. In the compound code field, select if a prescription is not a compound or a compound. Select the appropriate option from the Dispense as Written dropdown. Next, enter the date the prescription was written. Next, enter the number of refills authorized by the prescriber. In the prescription origin code, enter the origin of the prescription. Next, enter the quantity prescribed. In the Other Coverage Code field, select whether the beneficiary has other insurance coverage. Next, enter the scheduled prescription ID number if known. This is not a required field. In the Unit of Measure field, select the unit of measure for the drug or product submitted on the claim form. If it applies, select the relevant level of service from the Level of Service drop-down list. If your claim does not require a prior authorization, you can leave the prior authorization type code and prior authorization number submitted fields blank. In the Route of Administration field, select the code for the route of administration. If this is a compound claim, select the compound type from the drop-down list. Now, scroll down to the Submission Clarification Content Code segment. The Submission Clarification Code Count field is pre-populated. If more than one SCC is needed, use the arrow icon to move to the next and previous segments. For this demo, the field is not required. If applicable, select the relevant submission clarification code from the Submission Clarification dropdown. For this demo, the field is not required. Now, scroll down to the Request Prescriber segment. The fields with the yellow dot are required fields. There is only one option for Prescriber ID qualifier field, 01-NPI. Next, enter the prescriber ID, prescriber last name, and prescriber first name. Now, scroll to the Request COB segment. If the patient has secondary insurance, you will complete this section. For the purpose of this demo, the patient does not have secondary insurance, so we will skip this section. Now scroll to the Request DUR or DUR segment. The Request DUR segment should only be populated if there is a DUR encounter with the claim being submitted. For the purpose of this demo, we will skip this section. Next, scroll to the Request Pricing segment. The fields with a yellow dot are required fields. Enter the ingredient cost for the product dispensed in the Ingredient Cost Submitted field. Enter the dispensing fee for the product dispensed in the Dispensing Fee Submitted field. Enter the incentive amount for the product in the Incentive Amount Submitted field. Next, enter the usual and customary charge for the product dispensed in the Usual and Customary field. enter the gross amount due for the product dispensed in the gross amount due field. Select the applicable basis of cost determination from the basis of cost determination dropdown. For the purpose of this demo, there are no other amounts claimed, so the next fields can be skipped. After all the required claim data entry fields have been entered, select the Submit Claim button. The screen will move to the Claim Response tab. In the Response Status header field, the status will be A-accepted. The response status will be either claim payable or claim rejected. If the claim did not pay, the reject code and description are listed on the Response Status Reject Count segment window. If the claim did not adjudicate as anticipated, the charges or updates are needed to the data entered. Click the Claim Data tab at the top of the template and make the necessary updates. After the revisions have been completed, click the Submit Claim button to resubmit the claim.